All right. Thanks so much for joining us today for our webinar, Side Ventures, Businesses to Start While Employed or in Retirement. My name is Sarah Wasco, and I am with FranNet of Dallas, Fort Worth, and Oklahoma. And I am joined by my colleague, Roxanne Rabsky. We work together here in the Metroplex, providing education, tools, and resources for individuals that want to explore franchising. And we decided to offer this webinar today because there is a lot of conversation about diversification and starting businesses, but potentially not interested in or having a comfort level in leaving a day job. And we also have individuals that we are working with who have exited corporate America, but are just not quite ready to retire, but don't want a venture that would require their full attention or their full amount of time towards that business. So we are going to try to keep this session short and sweet today. It's really going to be a quick introduction to about 7 businesses that are set up to be run in a semi-passive or semi-absentee scenario. We're going to explain a little bit more about that as we dig in today. I want to invite you, if you have any questions, to please put them in the chat box. Now, you may see a chat and you may see Q&A. It'll be a little easier for us if you'll put them in the chat box, and we're going to monitor that as we go along. You guys are all in listen-only mode, so we're not able to take verbal questions, but we'll welcome your questions in the chat box. One thing I do need to make you aware of as we discuss these opportunities is that Roxanne and I have a very high-level overview of a lot of brands. FranNet works with a portfolio of vetted franchises. We have about 150 or so. So we do not have all the ins and outs when it comes to return on investment. We don't have any earnings claims. In fact, it's illegal to offer earnings claims. But if you have any of those types of questions, those will be best suited if you decide to dig in deeper and speak with the franchisors one-on-one. So we're not able to answer those questions, but may be able to answer some higher level questions about some of the brands that we'll be talking about today. So as I mentioned when we got started, why are we here? Why did we decide to offer this session? Well, we're finding, Roxanne and I have both been in this business for a long time. I've been with FranNet for 10 years. She has been in franchise consulting for 12 plus years, I think closer to 15, with FranNet for 9. So we both are seeing kind of a change in the types of clients that we're working with. We certainly still work with clients that want to explore franchise ownership as 100% role, but we're also seeing individuals exploring exactly what we're talking about today. Semi-passive or semi-absentee, looking to diversify, but we're inundated with information. We don't know where to start because there's so many different ways to find information. So while we have a lot of information, what's missing is how to go about evaluating that and what really to believe, right? So I really want you to think about what you're looking for in this session and think about what will make this session a success for you. Our role through this session and through our business in general is to connect individuals with business opportunities and help prospective business owners navigate the waters of doing their research, get the facts, and make confident and educated decisions. We realize that business ownership is not for everyone. There are many, many choices out there that can be compared and should be considered before making a final decision. It's really important that you dot your I's and cross your T's, and don't just focus in on one brand because you're enamored with that product or service. Really compare and evaluate what you're seeking to accomplish. And individuals need a very safe and methodical approach to selecting the right fit. And that's why we're here. We have processes and systems for you to follow to get that information. We know that business ownership can be scary. And so we want to be a resource for you to help you navigate again through some of those fears and concerns and get what you want. And our services are free. We are paid by the franchisors if we're able to make a match. So really, I think the best analogy for the services we offer is that of an executive recruiter. So an executive recruiter is matching an employer to an employee. They're paid by the employers. We are paid by franchisors who have partnered with us and ask us to help them find the right fit in their franchisees. So some expectations from today's session. What's a realistic expectation? Realistic expectation is for you to deepen your understanding of franchise investment opportunities in that semi-passive ownership model. But what's really unrealistic today is for you to walk away saying, I found the right fit. Chances of that are pretty slim. Again, as I mentioned, we just want you to find having a wide overview of opportunities and see what could be a good path for you to take if you want to explore and learn more about semi-passive opportunities. So what does that really mean? It can be a very popular method of franchise ownership for those individuals that are hesitant to leave that steady and potentially high-paying day job. Your goal might be to become a franchise owner. You're going to manage a manager in the day-to-day operations by overseeing the business in that form. But do keep in mind, I want to set a realistic expectation that this is not going to be an opportunity for you to just hand it over to somebody and not do anything. Anything that's semi-passive or semi-absentee is still going to require some of your attention. Generally, it may be after hours, but you may need to have some flexibility in your job if there is an emergency or a requirement for you to jump in the middle of the day. So it may not be the best fit if somebody is potentially in an environment where they don't have any flexibility with their job. But who's investing? Individuals that want supplemental income or some income security, maybe multi-generation. We are seeing baby boomer parents wanting to invest and go on business potentially with their adult children. And as we mentioned, maybe full-time employed, maybe a spouse would run the business, that sort of thing, diversification. So in most cases, not all, and you'll see that today, a semi-absentee model may need a location. We've already talked about it being manager run. Oftentimes you need to be comfortable making some additional investments in advertising dollars because you would not be available to potentially be the face of that business. So some examples that you are going to learn about today and some common industries for semi-absentee are hair care, beauty, fitness, wellness. Those are just some pretty common industries that we see promoting a semi-absentee model. So again, we talked about the opportunity to potentially keep your job. That owner's work may be after hours or on weekends, working on the business, overseeing, making sure that everything is set up properly. In many cases, you can monitor that business remotely, and you have that opportunity for a growth and investment to hedge against some economic changes. So let's get started with some examples. I know that's why you are here today. So Roxanne is going to start us off with our first brand, which is Decalash. So Roxanne, tell us a little bit more about Decalash.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us. I want to apologize in advance if you hear any background noise. My lawn folks decided to show up as soon as it started. So I will mute myself when I'm not speaking, so you don't have to listen to that. All right, so Decalash, this is a founder-driven organization. The top executives in this organization actually own and run their own locations. They've got a strong culture. This is in the beauty industry, as Sarah mentioned. If you look around, there are a lot of women wearing eyelashes. So this is a very simple business model. It focuses on eyelashes and eyebrows. And as an owner of this concept, you have high employee retention. There's a lot of training. You're giving career artists an opportunity and ongoing training for moving their career forward. This is a recurring revenue model. Once you get your eyelashes done, those need to be filled every 4 to 6 weeks. So your clients come back over and over again, which means it's also a membership model. Usually there's some savings with membership, and that makes it very easy to project your income, your earnings, and your expenses. They have a lot of technology that helps them drive this business. There's an app that allows clients to book their own appointments 24/7. There is no receptionist in this model. So you can see in the photo there's a laptop. It's a contactless sign in and out. And the other technology they have is face augmentation. You can actually see what the eyelashes will look like and try different types on before you actually get them, as well as having your eyebrows done. There's a call center that takes all inbound calls and helps set appointments and ask questions or answer questions. But there's also an outbound piece of that that helps with marketing and membership retention. You'll notice on this one, there's quite a spread in the investment. That's due to a choice. You have anywhere from a 4-bed salon up to a 10-bed salon. And then on all of these, you'll notice a low and a high on the investment. That also includes where you are opening your business. So more expensive real estate is going to drive that up if you're an expensive area versus a less expensive area of the country. The ideal candidate for this concept is going to have business savvy, have customer service skills, leadership and people skills, hiring experience, and willing and able to follow a proven system.
Great. Thanks so much, Roxanne. And, one thing I think is important to kind of stress again was what you said about that recurring revenue model, because I have a friend who has beautiful lashes and I complimented her and she said she had received them as a gift going to an eyelash studio 12 years ago, and she's been going ever since. So she liked them so much, she kept going back. You don't have to have any experience in the beauty industry. You need to have that management experience. So gentlemen, don't be hesitant to enter the eyelash business because that's not going to be your requirement. So our next brand is a fitness related brand. It's called BFT, and it is a boutique fitness and functional training opportunity. So we have seen, now that we're over 2 years into this pandemic, that boutique fitness has really done quite well. People like the smaller square footage. They like the opportunity to kind of see it being cleaned. People are recognizing they need to take care of their health. They're recognizing the value of exercising and staying strong so that they can boost their immune system. BFT is part of a parent company called Exponential Fitness, which actually owns about 10 different brands. So some of the other brands that you may be familiar with under this parent company are Yoga 6, Club Pilates, Pure Barre. There's just a wide variety. And so one of the nice things about this, Stretch Lab, that's another big one that's pretty prevalent here in the Metroplex. You can actually, as a member, purchase an X Pass. And so this is kind of appealing for franchisees because their members can actually participate in several different types of this boutique fitness. So it's a good cross-marketing tool for these brands that are part of Exponential Fitness. This is a 50-minute workout. They're focused on strength and cardio, and they can have a class size up to 36 people in a class. And there's one coach or one trainer for every 12 individuals. So there is really a small number of employees required in this brand. So I will move on now to our next brand that Roxanne will share, and that is Rubbish Works.
Yeah, so you will notice, the first thing you'll notice looking at the screen here is the investment range on this one is much lower than the previous two we looked at and some of the others that will be following this. So for this one, there is no brick and mortar or real estate required. You can actually start this one home-based. And you will need a location to store your truck, some type of storage or a lot to store your truck, but you will not need a building. So that keeps your costs way down. This is a green business, so it's keeping things out of the landfill. 50% of the items that are collected are either sold or donated, and donated to places like the Boys and Girls Club, homeless shelters. And most people that own homes or even offices need this type of service at some point. I know there were a lot of people that cleaned out and did a lot of organizing through the pandemic. This business actually did very, very well as its competitors. And I've used them personally. So I spent $500 on a pile of junk in my driveway having it hauled away. So I know. Let's see, what else? Technology. There are a ton of tech tools to make the semi-absentee. It's a very plug and play type of business. They're the contact center that makes appointments that will show up on the franchisee schedule within 90 seconds. You start with 1 truck and 2 drivers. The ideal candidate for this one is a relationship builder, is very customer service oriented, has business acumen and people management skills. They also have the drive and ambition to grow and scale, and there's no experience needed. And the way you scale with this business is once you have 1 truck that's busy all day long, you add another truck. That's how you scale this business. So once again, just a place to store that and no real estate. So moving on, Sarah.
All right, thanks, Roxanne. Kind of on the subject, continuing of green and environmentally friendly, is Clothesbin. And this is really our most passive opportunity. Essentially, these bins collect items for recycling and donation. But as Roxanne just described on Rubbish Works, those are going to be larger items that you can't transport yourself. It might be couches and mattresses and those sorts of things. Clothesbin is just textiles. So a great example of items that you might want to put in one of these bins would be, old t-shirts, used clothing, used shoes that really is not going to be something that somebody else would want to purchase. And this franchisor helps you find the location for these bins. And then they also set up the buyers for taking those donations and pay you accordingly. So when you talk about, Roxanne and I have both talked about very technology driven businesses, this is one as well. There's actually a means for you to follow on an app the level of merchandise or products that are in these bins so that you know when to pick them up and recycle them. And so you have absolutely zero cost of goods. And as people are cleaning things out and downsizing, which is a common process for a lot of people these days, they're able to take their items and put them in these bins. And another nice thing about these is a lot of the donation stations, for example, like I live in Grapevine, they're only going to collect at the donation station at Grace, for example, or I was in Keller before, we had Community Storehouse. They have set business hours. And if you're like me and you're cleaning out, it's probably not going to be during the business hours of those organizations. So you can take them and donate them this way in these bins. So the investment range is going to be dependent upon how many bins you start with. But as you can see, again, because you don't need brick and mortar, the financial requirements are going to be lower than some of the other opportunities that we've spoken about today. Roxanne, we're
All
up
right.
on 100% chiropractic.
Yes, so this is a full service wellness clinic that offers cutting edge chiropractic care, massage therapy. They have a full line of nutritional supplements. And then on site, they also have x-ray and full body scans, which they'll take of you at the beginning and then they'll use going forward to track your progress so you can actually see the changes in your spine. They also accept insurance, so that's a bonus. And they provide for their franchisees stunning office layouts. They give you 4 custom high-end designer palettes that you get to choose from for your locations. There's a wellness revolution going on in today's society, and it's growing exponentially. And I would say the pandemic was very eye-opening for that, just like Sarah mentioned about fitness, same thing with wellness and preventative maintenance. So the US is the #1 in consumer dollars spent on the wellness industry, and worldwide, this is a $4 trillion market. We have a unique concept with this in the healthcare market. They also have social media marketing that's cracked the code on driving a high volume of new patients into their custom designed clinics. They have a very strong culture. They have a quarterly tribe meeting where all their owners and doctors get together and compare and learn best practices from each other to help each other grow. You don't need experience with this one either, but your first hire will be that actual chiropractor. You'll also need a licensed massage therapist and a chiropractic assistant to start. And the ideal candidate here is very similar to the others that I've already mentioned. So I will turn it over to you, Sarah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, let's talk about the dog stop. The pet industry is continuing to grow exponentially. There are nearly 90 million dogs in the United States, and over $10 billion were spent on pets in 2020. The dog stop has multiple revenue streams. It has boarding, daycare, grooming, as well as retail. Now, the retail is only about 10% of their business, so you don't have to keep a large stock of inventory. It's just some foods, a few toys, and some over-the-counter medications. If you notice, the investment range is very broad here. That is because the franchise disclosure documents have to release the lowest and the highest, of course, and then all in between. So that 800,000 is someone who built a much larger facility than what their average is. The 289 is probably just a unique situation. We have been advised that the majority of the investment ranges of late have been in the 450 to 500,000 all in range. They are about 6,500 to 10,000 square feet. So you have some flexibility with that space. They are not in Class A real estate. So sometimes they might be in an industrial or a flex space. In most situations, they do want you to have an outdoor space for your dogs to play during that playtime. So again, the pet care industry is really thriving. This brand has been around for quite some time, is really growing, and there is quite a bit of opportunity still remaining territory-wise in the DFW Metroplex. So last but not least, Roxanne is going to share with you about Lemon Tree Hair Salons.
Yeah, so Lemon Tree is your family hair salon. They provide affordable, high-quality salon services and products for the entire family, from a child's first haircut all the way to services for grandparents. They offer professional products. They're a Paul Mitchell salon, and they have 6 revenue streams. So those include haircuts and styling, coloring, body waves and perms, smoothing and straightening treatments, facial waxing, and then they have retail products for your hair. And they've actually been in business for 57 years. So once a franchise is awarded, their franchise owners become part of their Lemon Tree family. They like to keep that family feel. This is recession resistant. Everyone that has hair needs it cut. And because of their competitive prices, clients will often trade down to them during a recession because they are more affordable than other high-end professional services. And then in more bullish times, their commitment to providing quality services builds their customer loyalty. You know, I know we've said this for every single one, but no experience is required here. You know, really what they're looking for is that business savvy relationship builder that's going to provide customer service and manage a team. So that's it for Lemon Tree.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Roxanne. Roxanne and I go to a conference with FranNet twice a year, and that's an opportunity for us to get to meet the franchisors. And they shared with me that there was a location, I believe in North Richland Hills or Watauga here in the Metroplex, that was just signing to open a second location of Lemon Tree. And I feel like that's just really a good sign when somebody is opening another location, that they've been happy, they're satisfied, and they want to expand. But there are only like those two and maybe one or two more currently in the Metroplex. So there's plenty of territory available for this brand as well. They've just taken, many of these are just now saying, okay, we want to more aggressively grow. And so we're going to partner with FranNet to help us do that. So as we mentioned, high level overviews today. If you want to explore franchise opportunities and learn a little bit more to really evaluate which path could be good for you, we would invite you to complete our entrepreneur profile. It is similar to a Myers-Briggs or a DISC, but it's really designed specifically for business ownership. It's a foundation, it's a baseline, it's not a tell-all for helping us make a match. It's not that intuitive, but it's a beginning step for us to get to know you a little bit and see if we can help you evaluate opportunities. We mentioned earlier, our services are at no cost to our clients. And this evaluation or profile would take about 20 minutes to complete. We will then build a business model for you from that information and really narrow in on what your skill sets are and your leadership style and your buyer motives to really help us narrow down the options and find an opportunity that could be in alignment with your expectations and your goals through business ownership. We have a multi-step research process if you decide that you want to get started. As we mentioned, or I mentioned, you would complete that entrepreneur profile. Then we build that business model. Then we introduce you to franchise opportunities that we feel are in alignment with your goals and expectations. You do the research. You're having conversations with the franchisors to really learn. Each franchise is going to have a unique culture. Roxanne mentioned culture in several of the brands that she talked about today. And so you can really evaluate not only is it a good financial fit for you, but is it a good culture fit, and can hopefully narrow down the choices, visit with them at their, what they generally term, meet the team day. That's kind of the last step in assessing the right opportunity and whether or not that's a culture fit for you, and then be able to confidently decide yes or no with some of the brands that you might be looking at. So this concludes our presentation today. We invite any of you to please type questions in the chat box now. We will be happy to address them. And while doing that, if you would please get your phone and scan these QR codes. So if you're on the Fort Worth, Tarrant County or Oklahoma City side of the Metroplex, you would be scanning my QR code. If you are in Dallas or up in the Tulsa or eastern side of Oklahoma market, please scan Roxanne's code with the camera on your phone and answer just a couple questions. This is the first time that we have presented this particular webinar, so we would love your feedback and responses to what you learned today, and we will be happy to interface with you if you would like to be included on more webinars like this one. So I do see somebody raised a hand. Roxanne, are you able to see that?
I do. Javin, if I'm saying your name right, can you type your question into the chat box? I don't know, Sarah, can you unmute everyone? So here we go. I've got a, all right, I see, are these opportunities only available for Texas and Oklahoma? No, actually they're available across the nation. We just don't know where there's availability or not availability. So maybe they could be sold out in your territory, or they could be completely wide open. But yes, they're open all over the country.
Absolutely. And not to get too complicated, but there are some states that are called registration states, and there's a little more complex path to take to be able to sell franchises. So, it could be a restriction there on some of these, but in most cases, they are nationwide. So, Monty, I see your hand raised. Are you able to type your question into the chat box also? I just was able, I think, to unmute you, Monty. Are you able to speak now?
Yeah, does this include both initial startup, or does it also include resales?
Great question. So I would say there are not any resales with the brands that we discussed today, not that I'm aware of. Now, FranNet does sometimes work with resales if they are a brand that has been approved to be part of our portfolio. But to my knowledge, none of the opportunities that we discussed today have any resales available. That's a great question. Anybody else have a question? Well, if you do, please reach out to Roxanne or myself. We will be happy to answer those questions. You have our contact information here. It has been a pleasure having you on our webinar today. We look forward to continuing conversations if you have a desire to learn more. This concludes our session, and we hope you all have a great day. Thanks so much.
Thank you.